Hey there everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to be bringing you some news with regards to Final Fantasy TCG's Opus IX that's been revealed through a stream that was posted a couple of days ago, as well as a Final Fantasy IX deck list that I'm really excited to show you guys because, as we all know, Final Fantasy IX is my favourite game in the series, and so I wanted to build up a little something with some inspirations from the Water Cup. Shout out to my friend Salim, who top 8'd with a Water Fire Final Fantasy IX deck, as well as some other inspirations that I took from FFTCG.com and a little twist of my own flair in there for the mix. So if you guys want to check out the news and all the deck lists and all of the profiles, all that kind of thing, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Before we get started, don't forget to check out all the links in the description box below for all of my social media, including Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff where we discuss all things Final Fantasy TCG, Opera and Final Fantasy in general. So definitely come on down and check us out. So the news regarding Opus IX came about a couple of days ago. There was just some nice little tidbits of information that I'd like to share with you all. And going over the things that were shown on the stream, there were a few spoilers that were shown, which I'll leave up on the screen here, that were Fusilia, Quistis, Heretical Knight Garland, and Maya. So I'm going to go through those quite quickly, so do pause the video on those cards if you want to read them properly. Of the cards that have been shown, I think Quistis is probably the most interesting one. A lot of people will be quite hyped up for Maya because she's a witch and has synergy with things like Cypher and Edea backup, and that's quite cool, but I think ultimately for a legend card she's actually fairly underwhelming. Though I've been wrong on these things in previews before. Final Fantasy TCG is a very strange game when it comes to identifying card advantage and things like that early, so definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of these 4 spoiled cards. But alongside those cards, it's also been revealed that Maya is one of 16 cards in the set that you can pull from the boosters as a full art version of itself. What the other cards are in the set remains to be seen. We've obviously seen that we've had the box topper from Final Fantasy XIV, and Vincent will be a pre-release promo. So we've had little tidbits of information as to the cards themselves, but from this point onwards I reckon we'll be looking forward to spoiler season and the things coming about. Also, there is a community vote on the TCG Europe Facebook page, which I'll leave a link to as well, where you can vote for your community sort of content creators, things like that, where there's loads of us out there. There's not just me, there's so many out there, so I encourage you guys to look at that, to vote for your favourites and also discover new ones, because I think it's really important to do that. Another interesting bit of information is that bans are being considered after the release of Opus IX. We don't have any idea what kind of cards are being considered for being banned, or whether something is coming out in Opus IX that will break a particular card. I've seen a lot of responses saying it's like, oh, Ishtola needs to go, or Star Sybil needs to go, or Dadaluma needs to go, things like that. And I think that it's too early to call out whether a card needs to be banned or not. If you look at tournament results, like major tournaments, there's so much diversity within it. I think it's very difficult to sort of pinpoint any broken card. But what I think this probably means is that something will get released in Opus IX that will break a particular card, so keep your eyes out for that. Now, this next bit of information actually isn't related to Opus IX at all, but Opus X, and that's that a new keyword is being introduced, like to Brave, Haste, First Strike, things like that, so that's going to be really interesting to find out about. But we don't have any idea what this keyword is. Originally, I mean, I don't speak Japanese, so it's quite difficult for me to pick up on what's being said within the stream, but I originally thought it was going to be something that had come back from the chapters version of this game. But having spoken to a couple of people, it actually turns out that it's completely brand new, and that it's not a keyword that we've ever seen before, so don't go scouring through chapters looking for an answer, because there probably won't be one there. They're also thinking about developing multi-element cards, so sort of cross-element or things you could play with multiple elements or something along those lines. But they're still in the developmental stage, so we're not going to see those for a little while yet. But the fact that they're considering them is quite a cool concept and does open up a much broader kind of design space, which is really nice for any card game. And then lastly, the last thing I found out is that what the featured titles in Opus IX are going to be, which are going to be Final Fantasy IV, 6, 8, 14, 15, and Mobius. Now, a lot of these kind of perplex me a little bit because they get a lot of attention in various sets, and there are some games that don't really get any. So Final Fantasy VIII coming back is really, really cool because it's one of the few kind of archetypal decks that just doesn't really work, unfortunately, and I really, really hope to see that it does, because I know a lot of people in my comments ask me to build an FF8 deck, and I've really tried, and unfortunately they're just not very good right now. So hopefully, and if this Quistis that we've had spoiled is anything to go by, we'll have something to really look forward to. But 14 has had like major support in the past like 3-4 sets, and it's pretty mad, and then Final Fantasy VI has only recently gotten a big load of support and is actually doing very well as a Fire and Ice deck. 15 I want to see more of because I want to see characters like Aranea come in, I want to see characters like Regis, this could be like a Kingsglaive set, we could get Nyx and stuff like that. Mobius I'm really happy to see because honestly, Mobius artwork is the nuts and everybody should be looking at it. I have so many favourites when it comes to that I really hope you guys will enjoy it. So we're going to move into the Final Fantasy IX deck list now, and don't forget to check out ffdex.com for any resources that you need for building a deck, looking up cards, looking at other people's decks, looking at tournament results. This website is absolutely fantastic for any of your FFTCG needs. Honestly, just go and check it out. After you've done with this video, go and look at it now. All of my screen grabs and stuff are from this website, so definitely go and check it out. But Final Fantasy IX works very, very well as a water-fire deck, and as I said, I've seen inspirations from multiple people who've played this deck, and I'll leave a link in the description box to Salim's deck, who top-8'd with it at Crystal Cup Water, same as I did, but it's just a very, very strong engine that revolves very heavily around Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is a very strong card anyway, both the 7 CP and the 4 CP, but this deck is one of the best decks, in my opinion, to take advantage of both of them. And that's because of some of the little synergies that this deck has that just makes them that much stronger. And the first one that comes to mind is Vivi. This Vivi is one of the strongest cards in the game if you fulfill his kind of conditions. He's 1 CP removal spell with a body. That's insane. Honestly, trying to get the maximum potential out of him is quite unrealistic. Like, you're gonna get, what, a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4 backups that are all going to be Final Fantasy IX, which will be Artemisian, Bran, Ico, and Black Waltz, which is, it's feasible, that's feasible in and of itself, but if you've got those 4, then you're already getting the meat of Vivi's ability, and 7k on entry is really powerful, especially when you consider some of the other cards in this deck that do damage or drop power, and your removal is just going to be incredible. And it's something that's resurrectable by Phoenix, 4 CP Phoenix, so you can just bring it in, deal 2k to your opponent's board and then deal 7k to something, so that's 9k for 4 CP with a body attached to it, which makes Phoenix just straight up better than most fire removal spells. It's incredibly powerful. And it's also something you could throw away to a fan for it, so you can resurrect it later. I actually put a single copy of Firion in here, despite the fact that he is strictly weaker than Vivi, purely because he's a Vivi I can play when I already have Vivi out. You know, there are going to be times where you want a Phoenix, but you already have a Vivi and you're not going to be able to use it. And that's just kind of irritating, so I thought that having a single copy of Firion not only increases the EX count here, which is absurdly high yet again, because it seems like these title-based decks seem to have a really high EX count, and that's really, like, that's a really cool thing in and of itself. You could actually increase it higher if you wanted to. I haven't put cards like Porum or anything in here because I wanted mass bodies to cater to things like Cloud of Darkness. But Vivi is just a really strong card, and Firion is a great secondary backup. Well, I say backup, a secondary forward, a backup forward, if that makes sense, that can be used if you already have Vivi on the field, or if you just haven't gotten to him yet. He's just a 4th copy of him. Garnet is actually quite a nice little sort of techie play against Ice, primarily as a Phoenix target. Again, you can just kind of pull her in with a Phoenix after your opponent has Genesis you or something like that, so you can just reactivate your guy, block with it, because it's all at instant speed. Or you can do it on your opponent's turn, just bring in the Garnet, activate your guy, attack with your guy. It's a really nice thing to have. It's another EX burst as well, and honestly, that secondary ability, she's a really cool card that I don't think people underestimate how many different things this actually kills off. Because people think, oh, you take less damage from summons. Okay, that means I'm going to take less damage from fire, which doesn't really see that much play anyway. But you think about it, Ramu is a very heavily played summon in Lightning, and that deals damage. Glacial Abolus is a really heavily played summon in Ice. That deals damage. You know, there's a lot of Valafor will do literally nothing to you. It's really quite powerful when you think about it. And honestly, I really ummed and ahed about playing the starter Garnet because I think that she's actually very, very cool. And, you know, last year's world, or our previous world champion to Alex, Toby, ran starter Garnet alongside Pew Pew and things like that, and I really think it's a really cool play with Phoenix, and I really, really wanted a reason to run 1 CP Alexander in this deck because it's just so flavorful, and I love the card, I love the character. Honestly, it's my favourite creature in all of Final Fantasy is Alexandria Castle as Alexander, but trying to get it in there, it just doesn't work. The summons in here are very set in stone, you can't really change them. So honestly, You could try and run that in a different version of an FF9 deck where you Phoenix a Garnet out, deal 8k to something, and then that Garnet pulls out an Alexander and lists something else, and you end up with this massive board wipe play. But it's probably quite, you know, Johnny combo, and it probably isn't going to work as well as I think it will. But I love the idea, so let me know if you want to try that out, and let me know if it works for you. Beatrix I put in here as the one-off because she's an FF9 character, and she drops power, primarily. After you've played Phoenix, after you've played Vivi, after you've played Firion, after you've played Cloud, maybe there's a chance that there's still that 1k left that you can't deal with. So dropping all of your opponent's forwards by 1,000 is actually quite relevant anyway, especially in conjunction with all the damage dealing that you've got. So for example, this will also make it so that a Phoenix will wipe out a Layla or a Viking that's been buffed by Waka. There's lots of little situations where having Beatrix attack and then you Phoenix is actually quite relevant. But she's a one-off because she's mostly a throwaway character. There are lots of other techie plays that I've seen in place of Beatrix. I just quite like it because it's Final Fantasy IX in there 4+ Vivi, and like Zidane, there's lots of nice little techie plays that you can do, and the fact that you're already running 3 Steiner means her primary effect is actually more useful than you might think. So I liked to have a single copy of Beatrix, but honestly this slot could change to anything. Freya, I think, is one of the most underrated card in Water in the game. I think she's an absolutely fantastic card. We all love Cloud of Darkness. We know how good Cloud of Darkness is. This card is a 3CP miniature version of Cloud of Darkness. I actually started running this card in Mono Water alongside Cloud of Darkness, and she works beautifully. She's actually amazing. For example, your opponent has a 8 or 9k guy on the board. You could play Freya and then drop it by 2k. So therefore it's 7k. If you attacked with Freya, your opponent is going to be a lot less likely to block with that because they're not going to want to trade something that's 9k for something that's 7. And then if they don't do it, it's 7k. You just play a Vivi and kill it. You know, there's so many difficult situations this card puts your opponent in. And what's worse, she's also a body that turns Phoenix into a 10k damage card, or 8k damage to one guy, pull in the Freya, drop your attacking 8k guy by 2k. It's just the Phoenix and Freya together are absolutely fantastic, and I really love playing Freya. I think that anyone who's been wanting to play Freya for ages, because I know that the Lightning Freya was the reason people ran Dragoons for ages, because people just wanted to run Freya because she's really popular. We've been staring at a good Freya for about a month now, and she's genuinely fantastic, so try her out if you haven't already. Viking and Layla are in here mostly because I wanted to provide bodies for Cloud of Darkness or just blockers, things like that. It's just a consistency play. It also gives reason for Bran to be in the deck. And I took this inspiration from most Water Fire Final Fantasy IX decks that you see online will run Layla, Viking and Bran, because Bran is Final Fantasy IX, Viking draws cards, Layla gets you more Vikings and draws more cards. This deck is very much a Swarm style deck with very, very heavy emphasis on removal. So having Layla and Viking in here means you're going to get free attacks in occasionally. They're just really good cards. Zidane is shockingly effective in this deck for the third ability. The activate all Final Fantasy IX characters in your board. If you Phoenix this out, Ice does nothing to you. It's really quite funny. And because Phoenix comes in, the guy comes in dull when you Phoenix it, Zidane doesn't. Zidane comes in and activates himself because he's a Final Fantasy IX character. And I think that that's just a really cool little play that you can do. There's loads of nice little bits that you've got. Just draw a card, discard a card. Draw a card is always nice. He's pretty much always going to cost 2 because you're probably going to have a Steiner out, a Freya out, a Beatrix out, a Garnet out, a Vivi out. There's like so much FF9 in here. And to get the whole band together is just really, really nice. I think Zidane is an absolutely fantastic play in here. Cloud I've put at 3 because his EX is amazing and because he is like your meat shield in this deck. He's 9k, he's not going to go anywhere, he's very difficult to kill. Removing the top 10 cards of your deck is a bit of a difficulty in this deck because you interact with your break zone so much, but it's not the end of the world. This is quite an aggressive deck as well because it's so heavily emphasised on removal, and Cloud is really good. You could easily drop this down to 2 and add 3, add a third Cloud of Darkness, or add a second Beatrix, or add another tech play like Lys or Common Tidus, or there's so many different tech plays you can make. I just really wanted to keep the EX count high because we all know how much I love having a high EX count. And Cloud of Darkness is just good. we all know how good Cloud of Darkness is. There's loads of bodies in here that are cheap and effective, and because you have access to Phoenix, you can pull in Freyas, you can make her even worse. There's so many good things that you can do, and having Beatrix, Cloud of Darkness, and Freya out can spell doom for practically any board. There's not a lot your opponent's going to be able to do to that, because you wipe down their biggest blocker with Cloud of Darkness, then you attack with Freya and take the next thing out, and then you attack with Beatrix and take everything out. It's like, there's so much removal there, it's crazy. It's just nice to have. And then Steiner, I hate that you have to run this Steiner, honestly, because I really like the new one. I think the 3CP Steiner from Opus 8 is fantastic, but playing that means having to severely hamper the consistency of this deck. So having a 5CP or 3CP 7k guy that searches characters is just good. Like, you know, going Setzer Aiko, whatever, is just going to set you up. Or going Setzer Bran even is just going to set you up. You've got so much, like, searchability in this deck, and then you've got interaction with your break zone. It's just going to keep going and going and going. I'm going to quickly touch on the backups before we finish this video, and obviously all the Final Fantasy IX backups in here make a lot of sense. I put 3 Black Waltz in here because it's Final Fantasy IX, it has an EX burst, it's removal, it works really well with the power droppers, it's just good in here. And then Bran and Aiko obviously are searchers, so we don't want to overload with those, but I want to make sure there's a couple of each of them. But the other one, Scholar, is just a fantastic card in any water deck. So the fact that you can use it on a Vivi, or a Freya, or a Cloud of Darkness, or even as a Dan, it's just really nice. So having that option is great. Ninja, you could run Yotsuyu in here, and if you look at Salim's deck, then he ran Yotsuyu, and I think that it's just a very strong card in general. But you got, there's so many sticky backups in here as it is that I didn't want to overload it. And if you need to get rid of a blocker, then Ninja's still going to do that. Normally when you use that kind of card, you're going in for the kill. You're not going in for 1 point of damage, you're going in to try to kill them. And if you are, at least you can just kind of Ninja and then replace it with something else that'll help progress the game or anything like that. And then Saz, I think, is in here purely because you just need Phoenixes. This whole deck is built around Phoenix. So much so that if you wanted to, you could take out Ninja for Black Mage so that you could return Phoenixes to your hand, although that's a lot more CP intensive, so that's an entirely choice thing and is up to you. One of the nice things about this deck is that there is actually quite a lot of wiggle room in here. I haven't run any copies of Water Zidane in here because, honestly, I just don't think it fits in this deck as much as I'd like it to, and the Light Zidane just does so much more. But some people like to run Water Zidane with Sage, Belias, Goblin, anything that grants haste so that you can just set the precedent and go hyper aggro, whereas I prefer this more kind of tempo based, removal heavy, you know, you're never keeping a forward down kind of mentality when building this deck, and it means that I can run Light Zidane and do more in this deck than I've ever seen him do before. So that's going to be it for this video. It's a little bit longer than usual for a deck profile, but that's because I wanted to bring you guys all the news with regards to Opus IX that we've found out. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my Final Fantasy IX Fire Water deck, and don't forget to check out the link for FFTCG.com to see this deck, and then you can play with it yourself and learn from it, or maybe change it to suit your liking. And don't forget to check out all of the social links in the description box below, and leave a comment to let me know what you think of all of the videos that we do here, or I do here. I don't know why I keep saying we and us. It's just me. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and hopefully I will speak to you guys soon. Take care.